Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Donkey Kong Country 3. In the last we start off Cotton Top Cove and now we're about to finish it off with Squirt Showdown. This boss is disturbing. See that face behind the waterfall? That's our boss fight. With that said, Squirt is easily the least dangerous boss fight in the game. I wouldn't say the easiest because things can get a little tight here and there. But definitely least dangerous because Squirt himself doesn't actually damage you. His only attack is to shoot out a spew of water that can knock you off into the bottomless pit, so he himself doesn't actually damage you. That said, the way this fight works, you do a circle of the water, and then the eyes come out from behind the waterfall, and you need to squirt the eyes with water with Ellie. You do need to be a bit precise with where you're shooting because you can't, when you shoot one, it closes, but it still has an active hitbox. So you need to make sure your placement's a little bit different each time. Otherwise, you just do this, I think it's 3 times, with increased amount of cycles of the water every time, and you're good. It's a very simple boss fight. And for beating it, we get a singular ski. We're not going to be able to do anything with that, though, until we beat the next world as well. You can go either into Cotton Top Cove or the next world in either order, really, is what it comes down to. With that said, welcome to Mechanos. This might be my favorite world in the game. In general, I like some of the cool stuff they do with this one. With that said, it also starts off with a level I'm not too big of a fan of. Fireball Frenzy is an annoying level. The main mechanic here we got is owls in the background shooting fireballs. The thing that makes this level annoying to me is mostly a depth perception thing, and that's partially because I'm probably not playing this on a CRT. You see, the fireballs themselves aren't active hitboxes until they are at the front of their arc being shot. But even then, it's a little hard to tell when that starts. Like, when they obviously impact on the floor, they're there, but after they impact, I think they immediately almost turn off their hitbox because they're bouncing into the foreground from there. And I've always had trouble telling where they are because of that. Them not having any different shading depending on where they are probably helps a little bit with that. With that said, I'll give this level this. It's the first appearance of this particular song, which might be my favorite song in the game, or at least top 3. I like it because it's more or less this game's equivalent to the Fear Factory track, just without being as good as Fear Factory. I like the backgrounds here. In fact, in general, again, this game's really good looking for Super Nintendo. Like, the level aesthetic that the first level of the game is, and as well as the clasp level, last part. Genuinely some of the best looking visuals on a Super Nintendo. With that said, I believe it's this special stage. Yeah, this is where we get our premiere of our good old friend Squitter from DKC2, and he works the exact same. You can press the Y button while holding D-pad up or down to fire webs as a projectile and aim them up or down. And you can use the A button alongside pressing it up or down, and then pressing it again to make a platform web that you can use as a platform. You can have up to 2 of them up, or is it 3 of them up at a time? And we're going to be getting some good use out of him later. I think, by and large, he's the animal buddy we use the most in this game that's not Ellie. And he comes with the same trappings of, oh god, we have to go up, huh? Also, you might be able to tell just because of how awkward it looks with this giant platform here. This is just 2 of the smaller platforms on top of each other. Clever, but not exactly the best looking. Now, this is a little bit of another tricksy hidden secret. We need to go up to the top left here because there is a bonus stage right up here. Rare is very much a fan of that type of mentality. It's just, here's the slightest hint of something being up there. Depending on your screen ratio, you honestly might miss it because overscan was very much a thing. Now, the somewhat annoying thing about Mechanos as a world is, I think it's one of the only ones you cannot 100% complete on your first try, because we cannot get the banana bird that's hidden here until, I think at least you've cleared the worlds, or maybe even the next world. I say I think because, honestly, I've always gone for it at the very end of the game anyway, because at that point I'm doing the other banana birds that I haven't gotten yet anyway. Thankfully, to make up for it, it has some of my favorite levels in the game. And by that, I mean mostly the next level in particular. Because I really like the next level, despite it being very atypical for the designs of the game. Also, whenever it comes to getting DK coins from coin, rather, If he's near a wall, you should probably use Kitty over Dixie, because when Kitty throws a barrel, he throws it underhanded, whereas Dixie throws it overhead with her hair, and that gives it more of an upwards arc than what Kitty has. And because of that, it'll potentially bounce off the wall and just hit Coin right on the head instead of in the back where you need to hit him to take him out, so you might just bounce it off his DK Coin. So whenever you're near a wall, if you have Kitty, use Kitty. And that's the end of that level. Admittedly, something I missed from DKC2. I really miss the end of level platform where you can jump to get like an extra life or even some of the Kong letters. Morning, Kongs, Brigadier Bazooka here. Oh, President correct, I see. Marvelous. I fought in the Crimean War, but don't you know I've retired from the service along with Big Bessie? Who's Big Bessie? She's only the biggest and greatest cannon of all time. What a beauty. It'll be splendid to fight her one more time, but she needs some ammo to get really going. Hence why we can't get the Banana Bird in this particular world yet. But we are on to a level I really like. This is Demolition Drain-pipe. And this level can be a little terrifying on the first playthrough because it's easily one of the fastest levels in the game because we're in a sled for the entire thing, more or less. And we need to bounce off buzzes and onto pipes, that's the word, in order to actively gain a lot of the Kong letters and even some of the bonuses. The thing I like about this stage, though, you get absurdly fast between the bonuses and the main stage, to the point where it feels really good to go real fast here. It's just one of those things where it's so atypical for the game's design that it oddly feels satisfying. It's weird, though, when it comes to inconsistent speeds and platformers. If you're a game like Sonic that's based around speed, having a slower level can feel jarring. I'm looking at you, Marble Zone. Whereas in a game that's slower, having a level where you go fast feels fine, exhilarating even. It is one of those things where you should design it, I guess, to what your main mechanic is. So like a game that goes faster can have slower levels, but you need to make sure they're designed right. Like Sandopolis Act 2 especially is not how you should design a slower level. Whereas maybe Marble Garden, maybe so much, that's better. The unfortunate thing about this level being so fast is it's over really quickly. Even after you clear the second bonus, there's less than like 40 seconds of level left, because when you get down to it, this type of level is an auto-scroller, I suppose. Just one you can die in over and over again at different points. I should note, just touching the enemies is the only thing that can damage you, though. Running into a wall will also damage you, so be careful. And I forget if this particular barrel respawns, so be a little careful there. Oh no, it does, we're fine. With that said, from now on, you saw me do it last part as well. We are speeding up every Swanky showcase moving forward because I'm just doing the head-to-head minigame over and over and over again, so I can get the bear coins necessary to buy the mirror by the time we're at the end of the game. Admittedly, if you don't do this in every opportunity, you cut it kind of tight. Because, let's see, we're at 26. There's another purchase we need to use with bear coins later on that's not just the mirror. I think I have barely enough by the time we finish the game. So you can cut it real close, like. With that said, now we're moving on to Ripsaw Rage, which I believe is the last of the tree levels. And I think you can tell what the major mechanic is here. It's an auto-scroller with a death plane beneath you. If you touch that saw, the Kong that you have active is dead. It's not permanent death for everyone, and like a bottomless pit is. This is just the singular Kong. But you need to be careful, because it moves at a pretty healthy rate. Thankfully, because it's an auto-scroller, at the rare time we say thankfully since it's an auto-scroller, while it can catch up to you, you never need to worry about it rubber banding into you, like certain games would do things like this. It just moves at the same set pace, and because of that, the camera does as well, so it's annoying, but it's not super dangerous outside of one particular instance, because the second bonus in this world in particular is one of the tightest in the game to get in terms of both the timer in the bonus itself, but also accessing the bonus barrel is absurdly tight. With that said, little misfitting of the music here. If I recall, the GBA version soundtrack is a little more intense. But again, that's because they redid the entire thing for better or worse in some cases. Now, something I don't think I've quite gone over is my history of DKC3. Compared to DKC 1 and 2, which I've gone over my origins for already, DKC 3 is a very abridged history in comparison because DKC 3 is a game I outright first got exposed to through YouTube and emulators. I think the first time I technically played it was on a friend's Wii Virtual Console, maybe, but like ZSNES in particular was how I first played this, and I didn't think much of it then. I've grown to like it more since then, but it's still easily my least favorite, despite being admittedly the most unique game of the series. Mostly just do it for the world map alone. Also, we're coming up on the second bonus for the stage. This one's really tight to get, because you have to take this barrel up to this buzz, and up into that before the saw catches up. And as you can see, a little tight there. That's it. This is easily one of the most unique bonuses in the game, because it's the second appearance of the invincibility barrel, and I want you to get the green bananas while bouncing left and right in the saw. I don't know why, I just find this kind of funny. Thankfully, they spawn more than enough bananas throughout. If you miss one, more will spawn. But again, you can cut the timer here a little bit close because they have to time it exactly to the invincibility barrel. Although now I think about it, I think technically the invincibility barrels in this series are... Their timer is set depending on the invincibility barrel you're using. Like the one back in the river race is timed just so you can get that, but not so much this one. Alright. So this is a bonus pathway, technically, but you need to do this in order to get the DK coin. As you can see, you can cut that a little tight, too, because if you're too early on the invincibility thing, you might just take a stupid hit, and that's rough. Right at the end of the level, too, so you'll have to go back to the checkpoint if you lose that. DKC checkpoints, I feel, were a little rough until the Returns games, because it was only one per level in most cases. It was Returns that started adding multiple per stage, if I recall, like 2 or 3. And, yeah, I prefer that. At least for a game where you need to look for things in the level like this, so there's just progress that can actively be lost. In games like, say, Mega Man, where where anything you grab saves between a life, I don't mind it as much. Like where there's only the checkpoint at the middle of the level, and then at the end of the level in the boss corridor. But in a game like this, I feel you need more checkpoints because you can do more with the levels. With that said, we are now on to Blazing Bazookas. The main mechanic for this is the namesake bazooka enemy that we just saw below. The way they work is that they're constantly going to be firing barrels out of their bazooka. Usually, it's just going to be straight-up barrels that you can bounce off of and use them as platforms. Sometimes, though, it's going to be steel barrels. Sometimes, it's going to be TNT barrels, like this, which will hurt you. So you need to time yourself carefully, keep an eye on what type of barrel the bazooka is shooting before leaping ahead into danger. With that said, we also, as you can tell by that sign there, have a returning friend in this stage. This is the first stage where you get to use Squitter proper. With that said, you do need to search for him a little bit, because you need to take this TNT barrel over to that bazooka, and I don't remember if that one respawns, but you immediately want to backtrack, because the first bonus in this stage is up here. We need to use Squitter's A-button platforms to reach it. Ow! That was rude. Squitter, I feel, is probably the animal buddy in this game they use to the best effect, mostly because his particular abilities are the most useful for a game like this, I feel. Like, Ellie being able to suck up the barrels and the water could be useful if they used it in ways that are interesting, but they don't really get to because they only use it a couple times. Squitter's abilities, I guess because you don't have the limitation of needing, say, water for them, are a lot more universally useful. Also, down here, we have to go get coin. The thing is about bazookas in the few levels they're in, even a couple other levels, we have this unique type of barrel that is a switch that switches what type of barrel something is firing out. In this case, it switches that bazooka from a wooden barrel to a steel barrel, which can actually defeat the coin. those will be used to greater effect in a much later game stage that might involve bouncing on steel barrels over and over again. More on that later. The biggest thing is you need to make sure that whenever you see one, make sure it's not on a TNT barrel, because otherwise you're going to be taking a dumb hit or two. Speaking of dumb hits or two, because I fell down that pit, that switch I just triggered became unused. So now the TNT barrels were switched back. That's just due to some weird camera shenanigans, I believe. Again, these games were technically impressive for the era, but they have some weird quirks due to the collision in camera nowadays. And that sort of continued with rare games moving forward, because the Banjo-Kazooie games, Conker's Bad Fur Day and Donkey Kong 64, all have elements of that. Less so with the collision, more so with some weird camera and what they want you to do to get certain collectibles kind of nonsense. That particular cannon barrel is probably one of the most tight jumps to make. Like, it's easy to make, but you really need to hold left as soon as you can to get into there. Which admittedly is a semi-consistent thing throughout the trilogy. Sometimes the barrels don't work exactly right, especially if you press left or right before you complete your course in the barrel, so to speak. But I feel it's the most prevalent here. That said, we want to use this last bazooka and either bounce off the barrels or use Dixie to helicopter spin across the way for the second bonus of the stage. And this is honestly kind of an annoying one, despite it having a relatively short area, because if you don't time the jump into that launcher barrel correctly, making a jump onto one of the barrels that bazooka is shooting to get to that bonus coin, you can take up a lot of the 20 seconds they give you, and because of that, you might have to go back and get that barrel again. Again, thankfully you can get the barrels again. If this was a different game on the Super Nintendo or even NES, you would have either had to start the stage over again completely, or you would have just been out of luck and you have to come back after you've beaten the game, if not having to restart the game, period. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 6, we're going to be finishing off Mechanos before heading on over to the next world. See you guys then.